Whenever I'm preparing a couple for marriage, at some point I ask them the question, what is the most important relationship within your family? Pretty easily, pretty quickly, they respond, it is a relationship between us, between husband and wife. Okay, well, it might be pretty obvious at that stage in the game. But what about in a few years when kids come? What will be the most important relationship then? Sometimes either by their words or simply by their actions when that time comes, it seems like the focus begins to shift. And that perhaps is understandable. Kids do demand a lot of time and a lot of energy. They are very happy about being in the center of focus. And so we can begin to see how parents' love for one another might be put on hold for a little while. They might press the pause button thinking, okay, for now we will focus on the kids and then we will rekindle our relationship. We'll pick it back up once they leave. But what's the problem with that? Well, 20 years, 30, 40 years when the kids actually do leave, they might look at each other once again and realize that they are now married to a stranger. And the relationship that they once had isn't able to be rekindled. And either they struggle through the remaining years of their marriage, perhaps they might even get a divorce. And so we realize that the relationship that was always meant to be the strongest in their family is always, even when kids come about, between the husband and the wife. From the reverse, we may say that the same is also true. I know my mom has said to me that it is very important for her that me and my sister have a strong relationship. Perhaps even more important than our relationship to our parents. Why? Well, at some point, my parents are going to leave, and they want to know that their sons and daughters are in a good relationship with one another, that they will carry on without division in a sense of unity even years after the parents have passed. So this is similar to what St. Paul is telling us in our first reading today. That he, like a father, has brought to birth this Philippian community. He was the one that went there and established it. He is also the one who has raised it throughout all its years. And now he stands on the verge of departing. He is writing this letter from a prison in Rome, knowing that his end is about to come. And he wants to be assured that his children, that this Philippian community are in a place of unity, that they have a strong sense of love for one another, perhaps even more important than their love for Paul, maybe even more important than their love for God. Why? Well, St. John will tell us that we cannot love the God that we do not see unless we love the brother that we do see. And we might even go one step further and say, love the brother that we don't want to see, right? So it's our love for God, that our love for God can only be expressed by our love for one another. How easy it is to dismiss the brother that we do see and say, well, I am dedicating or I'm focusing so much on my love for God. In some sense, that's an easy love. God's not frustrating to us. He doesn't argue back. He always seems to kind of be there when we want him and do what we say and everything else. That's an easy kind of love, and it doesn't take a whole lot of work, whereas their love for our brothers and sisters does. And so the love that we have for God can only be expressed in our love for one another. In no way do the parents feel excluded by the love amongst their children. In no way do children feel excluded or left out by the love that's shared between their parents. Similarly, Paul doesn't feel excluded by the love amongst the Philippians, and God doesn't feel excluded by the love that we have for one another. In fact, it brings a great sense of joy to the parents, to Paul, and to God when they know that their sons and their daughters are living in unity and that they are sharing that love for one another. So true is this for God, that his family, his children, don't just belong to one family. They're not just united by blood, nor, like for Paul, are they united by belonging to a city, or even by a belonging to faith. For God, all people are his sons and daughters, far surpassing any kind of boundaries of politics, boundaries of countries, boundaries of places, boundaries of anything else. That he desires his children to love and to be united and to abolish any kind of division. Division is straight from the devil. and everything that goes along with division. Any kind of backbiting, any kind of gossip or deceit or duplicity, any hatred, any bitterness, any lingering venom or poison we have to one another, that too comes from the devil. And we as Christians, we who know our place as sons and daughters of God, we who should know that everybody else is our brother and sister as sons and daughters of our common Heavenly Father, it is our responsibility to go out and to abolish those divisions, to bridge any kind of disunity that exists among us. We cannot stand and say, well, here I stand, that person has come to me. If we believe that we are the ones standing in righteousness, that we are the ones standing in truth, and that it's the other person that has to move, we might soon find ourselves standing alone. Because if truth himself did not hesitate to leave the side of the Father, to go out and to go among those who were divided from him, well, he may not hesitate to leave our side either.